You've had such an interesting career and all the cases you've covered. How do you describe yourself?
I'm a victims' rights attorney. I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm probably best known for my work in women's rights. We do more women's rights cases than any other private law firm in the United States, perhaps in the world. We've also represented many minorities, such as people who are gay and lesbian, bisexual and transgendered, and we have litigated on behalf of their right to be treated equally for more than 30 years. So we are a pioneering law firm in that respect. And we've also represented many victims in criminal cases. For example, the family of Nicole Brown Simpson in the famous People versus O.J. Simpson criminal case. Amber Fry, the key prosecution witness in the case involving People versus Scott Peterson.
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that very well.
And in many other cases as well.
High profile. You're high profile. We're covering high profile trials all the time. What do you think makes a case high profile? Is there a formula?
I think that it's a combination. In the Jodi Arias case, obviously, the Molotov cocktail filled with sex and violence and young people, lots of sex and lots of violence. It's made for television.
This one is. Now, your cases that you take, I mean, you take a lot of cases, but not all of them end up in the headlines, but a lot of them do. What, from your perspective, is that driven by the nature of the case, or is that driven by the people behind the case? How does that happen?
Well, I think it's a combination of both of those factors. It's a question of, is the issue one of public interest and importance, or is the person a person of public interest and importance, or is it both?
So what does the high-profile nature of what you do to you?
It just keeps me remembering that every word that my client says matters, has legal implications, has consequences for them in terms of their reputation, in terms of their economic futures, and also emotionally for them as well.
Here's an interesting moment, and I don't know if you guys didn't see it at home. I saw it though. When you walked onto the set of HLN After Dark and met our jury, the jury started doing this. And I'm not lying, they were literally bowing to you. And
I bowed back to them.
I know you did. But what I'm thinking is, yes, they know this is Gloria Allred, and they know the work that you've done. And there's probably a lot of people out there saying, you know, at some point I may need a lawyer. And I would want Gloria Allred. So how does someone become Gloria Allred's client?
They contact me, generally by email, sometimes by telephone. Sometimes I'm in an elevator or a women's restroom or out shopping, and they'll approach me. And I ask them to tell me about their case if they're asking me for legal advice. And then after they tell me the details of their case, then I can advise them as to whether or not I can assist them or whether I should refer them to someone else. We welcome the fact that people feel that if they contact us, that they're hoping to have access to justice. So that's why we will review every email.
But you can't say yes to everybody,
We will
right?
respond. We can only take a very small percent of all of the cases that people ask us to take, and but we will try to respond to everyone.
Now you keep saying us.
Well, I have a law firm. We are a team. I have 11 attorneys. We're Allred, Morocco, and Goldberg. We've been practicing for 38 years. We are based in Los Angeles.
I don't know any of these other people, though.
Yes, and however...
I know you.
Yes.
America knows you.
Yes.
Is that on purpose?
And it's not on purpose. It's just that...
That's the way it worked out.
My partners feel very comfortable with my advocacy, and they are wonderful attorneys, good human beings. I really like them for their values. The two founding partners, Michael Morocco and Nathan Goldberg, who founded the firm along with me, were my law school classmates. They are like my brothers. They are outstanding lawyers, exceptional lawyers, and they really care. It's not something that I can or would do by myself, because we go up against the rich, the famous, the powerful, large corporations, small businesses, batterers, killers, child molesters, wrongdoers of all types. And therefore, it takes power in order to meet power and in order to win the best possible result. And that takes a team effort. It's a David and Goliath battle.
Every time.
And I always say we're the David or Davida versus the big Goliath, the powerful interests.
But you like that. You like taking on
I'm a warrior.
the big challenge.
I'm a fighter for change. I am dedicated to winning justice for my clients. I will do it for as long as it takes. And the big firms, the powerful interests know that about me. I litigated one case for 23 years. It was one of the first cases, if not the first, against the Catholic Church on behalf of my client, who was sexually abused by 7 Catholic priests and had a baby by one of them, and I did that back in the 80s. That was the first case that anyone knew about. It kind of was the opening of the church sex abuse scandal. I did it for 23 years against the Archdiocese until they finally settled with me. I did an AIDS discrimination case.
It took more than 2 decades for them to realize you weren't going to stop.
Yeah, I did an AIDS discrimination case back in the 80s, one of the first. And I did that case for 16 years. We won 2 precedents in the California Court of Appeals, and I even pursued the defendant, which was Jessica's nail salon, even after my client passed away, because I knew that's what he wanted, until we won, and we did win. Wow. So we are, yes, fearless, relentless, and dedicated advocates to winning justice, and we've won hundreds of millions of dollars for our clients. That's just in the last decade, so you can do the math for the last
Let me ask you this.
decades.
You have so much interaction with the public, and people come up to you all the time. What do you think is the biggest misperception that the public has about the way our whole system works?
I think that many people think there actually will be justice in the end for most people. And I don't think that for most people there will be justice. I think what we can do is to minimize the injustice to the extent that we can. For example, in the Jodi Arias case, there can't be true justice because nothing will ever bring back to life Travis Alexander. But perhaps there can be a just result as decided by the jury in this case. So I think that's a misperception by many people.
Yeah, I agree.
But we do the best that we can to win justice and to minimize the injustice. And of course, my goal is to empower my clients and people who are not my clients so that they will learn how to stand up for themselves, learn how to fight back and win, which is the name of my book, learn how to be an example of that, of strength and of courage, so that they will then pass on that role modeling to their children, to their spouses, to their co-workers, and to the larger community, so that people who otherwise feel hopeless, powerless, and voiceless will have a voice, will be able to show their power, and will be able to have hope and fight back.
And that's really the purpose of our system.
Well,
There's only one way for me to end this interview, Gloria. Just like this. Thank you so much.
And to you as well for the great job you do on After Dark.
Thanks.
And on every other show that you do, Vinnie Politan,
Thanks so
on
much,
HLN.
Gloria.
Thank you so much for inviting me.